walking with the ghost.
He missed!
He won't next time.
Our blasters are useless against him.
Hey, let's make the baby do the magic hand thing. Come on, baby. Do the magic hand thing.
And that right there is my absolute favorite scene. Not only of this episode, the redemption, episode 8, but possibly my all-time favorite scene, and the fact that I just like the fact that how Greef Karga finally says something that a lot of us probably were going, why doesn't anybody ever ask the little guy or get him to do it? And that is to use like what Greef Karga says, come on, baby, do the magic hands. And then all the child does is waves back. Because in the end, it's an innocent little guy. You know, he's still like a baby. So he's looking at everything with wonder. And yeah, he could have easily taken that thing down. Maybe it's because it was still weak. Because when that one scene, whoa man, when that one trooper came into to burn him out as Myth Guardian or Moff Guardian, ordered him to do, and then he just puts his hand out and repels the fire, kind of keeps it from from burning them. And then I love how he just was like this, like he has that mean look in his, like that intense face and this look in his face, and then he blows the stormtrooper back. I mean, this little guy is a phenomenon. He really has gotten everybody. There's some critics too, but to me, I take him over Porg. They had to insert those two little Porgs in Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Just kind of like, I don't know, what was that? To remind us to buy some Porgs. It's just like, what do you call it? Like Jar Jar Binks. Like, who cares? Cute little guys, but it's like, did he even add anything to it? At least Baby Yoda or the child can choke you to death. Can repel fire. Probably can bring down an entire ship. The little guy is powerful. He is really powerful, and he showed that in here. And this one really, I think, really took a lot of power because he, how oftentimes when he uses his life force, the force is like, he'll just go back like this, That one, he went, not only did he go back, but he fell over. Like, he was really, really tough. That took a lot of energy out of him. Just like with Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, when Leia used all of her, what I call it is, I don't want to go into it because someone might watch this video and haven't seen the movie yet. But yeah, it takes a lot out of you. So yeah, this little guy, yeah. It's one of those things where I'm thinking that when it comes to Baby Yoda, when it comes to the child, it's like, I think they're born with that instinct. Because it's almost seemingly like he knows when to use it. Like, he doesn't use it all the time. There are instances I see and I'm going, come on, do something. Help him out. But he's still a baby, he's still, like he's, in his age, he's like 50 years, but that's nothing compared to like how old Yoda was, right? Yoda was 900 years old when he passed away, right? Yeah. So I guess that's just like dog years, I guess. Like 50 years is, or 50 years, but it's only like a year. No, I think that's reverse. But what I'm trying to say. I don't know what I'm saying. But I absolutely enjoyed this episode. IG-11, going back into kick-ass mode, although it's more of a protector now. It was reprogrammed by Will, who unfortunately died. And at the end, we saw him being buried by the Mandalorian. I gotta say that this episode was well done. I like the look of it, cinematography, the action sequences. That's the one thing I like about the director, who also is the voice of IG-11, and that's Taika Waititi. Great director. He directed one of my favorite Marvel films, and that is Thor Ragnarok. The only thing I don't like about him is the fact that he had to kind of cave in and get with with Disney's whole agenda, female empowerment. Like I said, in the past, I don't have a problem with that, as long as it's presented in a way that's not ham-fisted and it's not shoved down your throat. One thing with the Thor Ragnarok, not Thor Ragnarok, but the Thor Love and Thunder. Natalie Portman is the female Thor, or Mighty Thor. Well, don't call her a female Thor, call her Mighty Thor. There's nothing wrong with calling her, calling her a female Thor. She ain't a male Thor. What is she? Like, some of these people in that community, like, they get offended if you say female, like, as if they're saying that, oh, you're calling us female, like, get off that. I could talk about that all day long. My problems, my feelings about that. But anyway, seeing Gina Carano, I love the girl, and she's my favorite, like, action star and favorite. When I ever see her in anything she does, I follow her since her MMA career and all that. And I always have to look up her name because I think what it is, because this is actress Carla Gugino, and her name always pops up in my head when I think about trying to say her name, because it's kind of the same, But Gina Carano, Carla Gugino. It's just like the switching of the first initials of their names, and it gets me, getting like, my brain getting fried and shit. And I should remember her name, Gina Carano. There you go. I said it. Hey, she's in here, and of course, Carl Weathers as Greek Karga. Love how he got in the mix and was shooting out too with them, And it's great seeing him in a high-profile show like this, because growing up in the 80s, late 70s to early 80s, him being Apollo Creed didn't get better than that. Then he was in Predator, all these other movies, of course, Happy Gilmore. Remember him? Great. It was so great seeing my favorite actors growing up being in these shows. And he goes to show that, I'm sure that he's a fan of Star Wars too, so that's why he kind of got in here. And this episode really, this really was like the capper. It was really the great way to end this episode. Of course, we saw at the end, they did that scene with the child, and then we saw, him being brought down. But it was like, because after the armor, after they were able to, because they were like tied down in that one little bunker thing, whatever that thing was, when he met the client. And then they were able to, through IG-11, because IG-11 had a blowtorch, some kind of thing that he was able to, because they found a grate that led down to these sewers, so they can get out of there. And that's where also the Mandalorians were hiding out. And he was able to, cut through that. They went in down there, and then she gave him a jetpack. And I remember back to whatever the episode that was, where he's like, well, I wish I had one of those. Remember when the other Mandalorians helped him out when he was in that shootout with the bounty hunters? Yeah. And he got it, and he was able to use it. He was weakened because Myth Guardian was able to hit him with a blaster shot to the back of his head. And then that led to a scene where he had to unmask. He didn't want to, because he said, hey, I don't let no humans see me. And then IG-11 was there, and IG-11 was like, well, I'm not human. That entered my head right away before he even said it. I go, and he said it, I'm like, oh, I agree. I'm like, yeah, he's not. And then one thing I did like is that took it off, we saw his face. Now we know that Pedro Pascal is playing him, but in this show, we've never seen him, and that's the mystique of any of the Mandalorians, any of those guys. You don't see their face. He could have easily shot it to where he saw, from his point of view, looking at, what's his name? Looking at IG-11. Then IG-11, you see him going like this, and explaining that he was using whatever the name of that thing was that he used So in order to, I guess, seal it up, and he told him that it's going to be a couple hours before you recover. He actually started. They were actually carrying him when he went down to the sewers, and he was actually kind of weaving and kind of woozy. And he said, "Okay, I'm good now. I'm good now." He got up and he started walking pretty good. I guess it takes the hours to heal it, but not for him to get his strength back. So, well, I guess because you get kind of lightheaded if you're losing blood. So maybe because it got sealed, it could be because it got sealed and the blood started flowing normally, so he was able to get his senses about him, I guess you can say. And we saw, a Myth Guardian who was Moth Guardian. I keep saying Myth Guardian. I had to look it up. Excuse me if I'm cheating, but Moth Guardian, he gets taken down because the Mandalorian is able to get one of those charges, electronic charges, whatever explosive charges. And he went like this, and one flew out of his hand because he was hanging on for dear death. When he was on the TIE fighter that Moff Guardian had. And then he got the other one, and he was going like this every time to put it down. I'm going, why don't you just take it and put it down? Like, because he got it, he went like this, and it flew out of his hand, and he did it. He put two actually on there. He dropped off. Moff Guardian knew right away because on this radar sensor thing, he sensed there was some kind of I guess he called it a foreign object on his ship. Blew him up, but when he went down, he went right into the dirt, sand. I was thinking, he's not dead. Check on it, But the Mandalorian and the others were so focused on getting out of there, they just didn't think maybe to go over there and make sure. And then we saw some Jawas, and they were looking in there for some scraps. They're gonna take whatever pieces off of the TIE fighter and use it and sell it. That's their job. That's their gig, right? As long as we've known them from Star Wars, the first Star Wars, New Hope to now, it's like we've always seen them. That's how you only see them throughout the entire series, but by the time you see them, that's what they do. They sell scraps, and that's what they did with the Mandalorian, right? Remember, they're trying to get, they got scrap stuff off of his ship, and anyway, they do that, and all of a sudden they hear like a commotion, and then you see, it looked like at first it was a lightsaber, kind of cutting through and just cuts a square or a circle, kicks out, and he had in his hand was like a black sword with like some white energy around it. What is that called? A light sword or a sword saber? It's like something that I've never seen before, and I'm sure the experts out there who know every single thing about Star Wars, they probably will tell you could tell me what the name is. If any of you see this video and you're one of those Star Wars geeks that know everything. And not saying that in a negative way, because that's what people are who know something so intimately and so much about it. That's what you call a geek. There's nothing wrong with that. Not done saying that. Let me know what that is, what it's called, but that's what it's. I got the explanation. I looked it up, and I'm like, that's what it is. Okay, But that looked pretty cool. It looked pretty cool. It came out looking pretty intense, coming out, standing on top of that TIE fighter, and that's it. That's how it ended. And don't know what that means. Like, I was thinking to myself, is he a Sith Lord? Because he has the bottom half of his outfit. He doesn't have the helmet, right? He looks just like it. So I don't know his history. Although I'm a big Star Wars fan, I'm not a guy who knows every damn thing, because my life is too short to have to, put that as a priority to know every single thing when it comes to any genre. Probably the only thing that I could tell you everything about maybe is Bruce Lee, because that's that thing that I latched onto, and I know almost much as I can about him. There's probably some things that I don't know, but if you were to ask me a lot of questions, let's say 100 question test on Bruce Lee, I probably would get about 85, 90 of it, right? Because nobody can really understand or really know the genre. There's always going to be something that's going to pop up, like, oh shoot, like I'm finding out different things about Bruce Lee in recent years, and it just adds on to my knowledge. But anyway, it's not about Bruce Lee. It's about Star Wars, the Mandalorian. And I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was very action packed, had a lot of just great moments, especially that one moment that I talked about in the beginning. You can't get any cuter, you think, and then there it is. It's like, hey, I got a lot of power in my one little hand, but I'm still gonna be like, when someone asks me to use my power, it's gonna go like this, because he's still an innocent little guy in all this. Because if he wasn't, do you think that the Mandalorian would have to protect him? And of course, the Mandalorian is doing this because he is, after all, a life force. He's after all, it is a living thing. And the Mandalorian is, after all, he isn't a robot. He isn't without thought. You take a look at what happened to him, kind of showed it as a child. His parents make the ultimate sacrifice, and they put him in looks like a basement or cellar, and then it's opened up by a robot, and he's ducking. The Mandalorian is as a child, and then that robot is taken out by a fellow Mandalorian, and he pretty much takes him in his arms and he assures him that he's safe. And then the guy who has him in his arms just flies off in his jetpack, and he's raised and trained by by the Mandalorian. And we find out that it's not a race, it's a creed. Because we Karga thought that they were a race of people, but they're a creed. Kind of liking that to like me being not a former, but me being in the Marines and having served in the Marines. We're not a race, but we're a creed. We're a brotherhood. We're a fraternity of just a few the proud, as they say, as our saying goes. But anyway, that is my thoughts, or those are my thoughts. And that's my review of the last episode of this season, entitled Redemption. The Mandalorian really was an amazing show. It's something that Star Wars really needs to be. Not about forcing it down our throats when it comes to the agenda. Female empowerment, LGBTQ, and all this other stuff. PC is being all this. You can do it, but don't have to tell us. You don't have to do it in a way when you have a character and the character is telling you that they're a strong female. Go out there and do it in action. Do you hear Gina Carano? Do you see saying that, hey, you stay back here, Mandalorian. I'm a female and I'm going to take care of this. Like there's that one episode where like you stay here, I'm gonna go, and she goes and she takes on the what do you call it, the AT-AT, right? Or the AT-X, what was that? It wasn't an AT-AT, but it was an AT-XT, something like that. I can't remember. But she goes over there and she's like, ducking, getting up, trying to shoot at it, That right there was like, she did it in action. That's what you have to do. That's why I love her character, because I love Gina Carano in general, but her character here is strong. And it's like, she went out there and she didn't have to tell you she was a strong female. She went out there and did it. But in the end, I don't want to hear that. If I'm in war, in battle, I don't want someone telling me, yeah, I'm a female, let me go out there and do it. Let me show you how it's done. No, just go out there and show me how it's done. Don't tell me. That's it. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Because that's the only thing that I have an issue with when it comes to this agenda in this group, is that they're doing it the wrong way. Don't force us to believe in you. Make us believe in you. Tell us through showing you. Actions speak louder than words. I'm sure you've heard that term. That's what you have to do. No one wants to hear lip service. No one wants to hear you tell me. Because the ones that tell you what they're going to do are the ones that don't know how to do it. I'd rather see somebody do it through action and not just telling me. Stop telling me. Yeah, you can do that? Yeah. Do it. Don't tell me. Show me you can do it. You know what I mean? Anyway, that was those are my thoughts and my review for The Mandalorian. The first season, episode 8, entitled Redemption. Again, great episode, a great capper, great ending to this series. well, not the series, but the season. And then we gotta wait till late 2020. So, bring it on. I have other things to watch. I have other things to do, and then my time will be spent. And before I know it, oh shoot, Mandalorian's back for second season 2. That's how it is. Anyway, those of you who stopped by and checked it out, checked out this video, and for supporting me, I appreciate it. And in closing, and as always, take care.